Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Let me check sound before I start. Guys, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the content through Patreon. Even $1 helps, my wife likes to say. Yes, my wife likes to say. So when Obama took office, Jesse Jackson, I have this image in my head, emblazed of Jesse Jackson bawling, weeping his eyes out at the first African-American president being elected. And he was elected on this kind of expansive hope and change rhetoric, the soaring language that was bringing people into this idea of hope and change, and they thought they were getting hope and change. Not realizing that his cabinet was going to be filled by Citigroup, essentially a bunch of bankers choosing the people who are going to be in the cabinet of the guy who's screaming about hope and change. When Donald Trump got elected, you had a lot of people with Donald Trump with this idea of what is it? Erase, get rid of the swamp or clean, drain the swamp, drain the swamp. That's what he was screaming, drain the swamp. And then he gets in office and he puts in one swamp creature after the next. One of those swamp creatures was Betsy Devos, billionaire Betsy Devos. Only her claim to fame was that she gave $200 million to the Republican Party, in which case she was bestowed at an appointment from the standpoint of the Education Department. Her task was to essentially dismantle education as we know it. One of the things that she was doing, very swamp creature-ish, this billionaire, was to side with corporate companies or for-profit education companies that had essentially taken advantage of students. There was an Obama-era rule in place that allowed debt relief to the students who were defrauded or who were taken advantage of by these for-profit campuses and companies. And you can imagine Miss Charter School herself was going to be against it. A judge recently, however, ruled against her and is going to force the Education Department to implement an Obama rule for debt forgiveness for certain students. This was something Obama did that was right. I may argue it doesn't go far enough, but from an incrementalist standpoint, this was an incrementalism that needs to be attended to. Let's take a look at this. This is not a lot on the story, but it's interesting nonetheless. Not to mention it's pertinent because I myself have student loans, some of these from for-profit colleges. Judge unblocks Obama rule on student debt relief after delays by Devos. Essentially, she's slow walking it. She's trying to prevent it and stop it altogether. And she's still working to change it. So even though she may have to implement it now, they're trying to find a way to essentially prevent the implementation. An Obama-era rule designed to help students cheated by for-profit colleges get relief on their education debt relief finally took effect Tuesday after efforts by the Trump administration to block it. A federal judge ordered immediate implementation of the rule delayed last year by the Education Secretary Betsy Devos, while a challenge for the for-profit college industry proceeds. The Department of Education said Friday it would not seek a new delay. Well, that's good. Attorney generals from 18 states and the District of Columbia successfully sued Devos last year over her decision to block the rule known as borrower's defense of repayment, or to repayment, from taking effect. The judge sided with the states last month, but implementation of the debt rule was delayed pending Tuesday's decision in a separate lawsuit brought by an industry group. The wild part about this is the government is supposed to work for our benefit. That's supposed to be our edifice, our body. And these people are getting in and assiduously working against the public interest. Today's decision is a huge win for defrauded borrowers around the country, says Julie Murray, a public citizen attorney who represents two students involved in the litigation. Industry will continue to challenge the rule in court, but they will work as long as it takes to defeat those corporate interests and administrative beholding to them. Murray said. The bar's defense for payment rule will be in effect at least until the case brought by the California Association of Private Post-Secondary Schools is settled. The regulation makes federal loan forgiveness automatic for some students who could not complete their education because the schools shut down while they were enrolled. Students are not eligible if they're continuing their education at another school. Well, that sucks. That sucks. I mean, if you're going to say they were defrauded at one school, how are you going to say that that loan all of a sudden still should perpetuate itself if you're saying you were cheated? I'm just saying it doesn't follow. Just because they went to another school doesn't mean they weren't cheated in the previous school that they went to. Half-ass Obama. There were more than 1,400 schools that closed between 2013 and 2015 whose students may now be automatically eligible for debt forgiveness, according to an estimate by the Century Foundation, a left-leaning think tank. Some former students of the Corinthian College, which folded in 2015, may be eligible. Before it collapsed, the for-profit giant was fined $30 million by the government for misleading prospective students with inflated job placement numbers. At the time, about 16,000 students were enrolled in its remaining 28 campuses. While the government did grant some debt relief while the rule was in flux, it has been a slow process. Nearly 48,000 claims have been granted, totaling $603 million at the end of June, about 2/3 of the claim being granted under the Obama administration. There are currently 106,000 people waiting for their claim rulings. Now the department must start processing borrowers' defense to repayment claims under the guidelines designed to make it easier and faster for students seeking debt relief. The rule prohibits colleges from relying on forced arbitration clauses or banning class action lawsuits if they want to continue to receive federal funds. A spokesman for Devos says she respects the role of the courts, good on that, but still believes that many provisions in the Obama-era rule are bad policy. You can think whatever you want. The department will continue to work with finalizing a new rule that protects both borrowers and taxpayers. That's her Orwellian way of saying we're still trying to fuck over students. Do you know that if you were in a European country, let's say Germany, you may not have any student loan debt when you graduate? There are plenty of countries where the human beings never worry about student loans and never worry about health care. Think about that. If you could wake up in the morning and those not be concerns of yours. The idea that we're going to tell students that are 17 years old, if you want to get a degree, if you want to get some level of education, if you want to better yourself and to get the best possible placement that you can, pay me. This exploitative relationship. You want this degree? Pay me money. Give me thousands of dollars. They essentially have indentured servitude for literally nearly the rest of your life. Why? Why do you want that? Why do you want your kids to be under a burden like that? Why do you want them under the thumb of some kind of loan thing? Their inability to marry, their inability to get a job. I have a college loan debt. My wife and I almost didn't get married because of it. This is a burden that you're putting on children. And I'm asking you, why do you need this burden on those kids? It is insanity. Can we afford, as a society, to ensure that kids get a decent education without putting $50,000 of debt on their backs? Yes. Yes. We just don't do it. And swamp creatures like this are trying to gouge and fight, not on the behalf of the students, not on the behalf of the taxpayers, but on behalf of a 1%. Understand, this is an issue of class. This idea that she's talking about the taxpayers, she's talking about a very specific select group of taxpayers. She's not talking about the American population. There's a difference in those things. Betsy Devos is a billionaire. Betsy Devos not one day thinks about whether or not she can afford this or that, will never, not one day, not have access to the things that she needs in life, in no way understands what it means to not have access to the things that she needs in life, nor in any way would grasp having all of this on the back of your back. It is up to us to make sure that swamp creatures like this don't get in office. It's more apparent to me than ever that part of the responsibility of what's considered to be the left, and I don't mean the Democratic Party, I mean the left, the actual left, should be the elimination of their class. Full stop. Meaning, she shouldn't exist. People like her shouldn't exist. Billionaires shouldn't exist. The idea that we're going to separate money in this way, where we're going to allow people to make so much cash. If you do something that allows you to kind of game a system where you make a ton of cash, good for you. But I would argue that from the standpoint of everybody else, it shouldn't be allowed. That's my standpoint. I don't think you should have swamp creatures like this, and damn sure not in positions of authority. Betsy Devos working in the interests of the private, of charter schools and the 1%, attacking taxpayers, attacking students, and making life difficult for regular human beings. So I'm not going to keep this one long. World tripping on fossil fuels but not paying off your loans equals progressiveness. I have no idea what that means. Reptilian bycat. If you don't want to worry about student loan debt, get a job that's worth a damn. Why the fuck should government money be going to something of value? Get STEM degree and grow the fuck up. It depends on what it is. I mean, what about teachers? What about teachers? I mean, after, like, I guess my point is, a teacher doesn't make much of a salary, but you need a teacher to be able to teach kids. So are you really going to make the argument that a teacher that's going to make like $40,000 a year, like that, it doesn't make sense. Christian. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like my wife said, there's plenty of people who get a degrees that are worth a damn, still don't get a good job. Establishment, the situation you described, destroying the family structure and perpetuating single-parent families, is work to break down black minority communities. This is baked in. Establishment wants what you described. I don't know what I just described. World tripping on fossil fuels. I have no idea what that means. No clue what that means. Yeah, but I mean, any trip that you take is going to take fossil fuels. I mean, that's more of a system thing. That's not an individual thing. It's somewhat of nonsense comment. I have stupid people on my show sometimes. It is what it is. All right, I'm going to end this. Look, I would say this. Either your society cares about the people in the society or not. If your society cares about the people in the society, we as a collective can come together and make a determination to cover each other. Meaning, we can decide to cover each other for healthcare. We can decide to cover each other for school. It's a better society. It's a better society. Getting a STEM degree is fine, but I find a lot of STEM majors are automatons. I'm critically supportive of the current system. That's education. I got to be honest, most of the people, I have a STEM degree. I went for tech. I went for software. They're pods. They're pods. They're not, like, they're functionally good, meaning you can put them in, you know, a box and you say, do this, and they can do that. But critical thinking is not necessarily their strong suit outside the context of whatever they're doing. This is part of their long game. Hate for Exxon jet tripping is cool. No, I'm saying the comment is stupid. I'm saying the comment is stupid. Like, no, it is. It's a stupid comment. If anywhere that you go from point A to point B is going to require some level of gas, is what it is. Like it's a stupid comment. It's a nonsense comment. Yeah, I found many of these guys are pods. And by the way, it doesn't really, that's besides the point. Whether it's a STEM degree or otherwise, does your society care about the students? Yes or no? Do you want to incentivize people to go to school? The answer is yes. Incentivizing them to go to school and punishing them for it is something different. Meaning setting up an exploitative relationship where you hold out a degree saying, pay me if you want to make any kind of careers is utter insanity. You know, when you're in other countries and they look at this and they're like, God, what the fuck is wrong with the United States on this regard? And I got to be honest, I have no idea. People get accustomed to the way they go about their affairs. And I'm saying the way we've been going about our affairs in this case is utter nonsense. This is a racket, and we've been robbing people blind in this case. Been robbing people blind. Bernie, okay, out of $20,000 at 4.5% interest rate, I've been paying it back for 12 years now. Not allowed to pay on interest and still owe $11,000. I've been working on qualified government. I do not qualify. Sad. This is what we're doing to people in this country. This is what we're doing to each other. That's the one benefit of Sharia law, no debt. Is that the one benefit of Sharia law? That's funny. That's funny. Thank me later. So you have to go world tripping. Yes, I'm going world tripping because there's a world out there. If they were able to use those things on something other than gas, I would do it. But again, this is a stupid comment. It doesn't matter. It's a non sequitur. It doesn't apply. That's the one benefit of Sharia law, no debt. Well, I don't think you have to have Sharia law to make a determination that we want to support education. And in supporting education, not put students under this kind of weight of debt. We can do better as a society, and other societies have done better. So, elephants on coke. I might soon fuck this country. If not for my girlfriend, I'd be gone for good. Jamal, thank you for the show. I love the fact that they have to force her to do this. Again, do you want a government that works for you, or do you want a government that works in the interest of corporations to fuck you over? I'm saying that what you have now is a government working in the interest of corporations fucking you over magnificently. Other countries pull this off. Other countries don't have this level of debt on the backs of their students in this way. And this billionaire is essentially trying to find ways to make people's lives that much more difficult. People who are barely making ends meet, that much more difficult. I'm saying it shouldn't be that way. It should be different. Betsy Devos, swamp creature, put in by Donald Trump. I understand people wanted this idea, like this idea of drain the swamp. But I hate to tell you this, but in the same way that Obama screamed hope and change and gets in office and puts in a bunch of people from Citigroup, well, I hate to tell you, Donald Trump was that much worse. So, there's that. Donald Trump fucking over your kids. Betsy DeVos helping them do it. I ended on that. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through Patreon. All right, guys.